Hey Apartment Therapy, my name is Austin and welcome to my 240 square foot New York City apartment. Come on in and let's have a look around. This building was probably built in the 1880s in Hell's Kitchen, which used to be a very working class neighborhood, a lot of Irish immigrants here. So this tiny little apartment would have been the residence for an entire family, most likely. So obviously this is a very quirky apartment. There's a lot of quirks to it. You've got a pretty steep slant in the floor. You've also got the bathtub shower combination right here in the middle of the kitchen area living space. And the toilet is in its own little room in the back. Very compact, very tiny in here. I pay $1,500 a month in rent. I got super lucky in finding this place. I stumbled upon it on Trulia, like right before I moved in here. Almost didn't come to see it because the broker contacted me on the side and was like, hey, just so you know, the shower is right in the middle. I didn't know that I could make that work, but thankfully when I got here, I did see the vision. I got it right as prices started going back up from COVID, so kind of got it at the perfect time to sort of lock in that rent stabilized price. Rent stabilized apartments, they're mostly older buildings and the rent can only go up by a certain percentage every year, so there's no chance that the landlord could just jack up your rent. So if you don't live in New York City, you probably think I'm insane for spending $1,500 on a place this small where I have to shower in my kitchen, but it is an amazing price to live alone in Manhattan. So I've never had a New Yorker call me crazy for living here, but I've definitely had people from other places in the country call me crazy for living here. When I first walked into this apartment, it was an empty white box. There was a white rickety platform where the bed is now, and a big gray curtain across both the shower and the closet. First thing I changed was I painted that dark green accent wall that is next to my bed, which has since just spread everywhere in my apartment apparently, but it started with that one accent wall. What I like about this one is it's so close to black. Like at nighttime, it's so dark that it just is very moody and dramatic. And then when the light hits it, it's just like gorgeous shade of dark green. There's a color that I'm in an exclusive relationship with is Essex Green by Benjamin Moore. No regrets. I mean, it's everywhere now. It's truly just spreading. After I painted that accent wall, I decided to ask my landlord if I could paint the cabinets. And I thought, why not use that same green that I love so much in the bedroom? And so I painted the door and the kitchen cabinets with the same color. The wallpaper I got from Spoonflower, it was just sort of the perfect design and sort of tied in all of the colors that I really wanted to feel like I could embrace in this space. I had in my old place a bright orange chair and these orange dining chairs, and then I had a dark green velvet chair in my bedroom, and I brought all of that stuff in here thinking that it was going to be temporary, and then when I saw the green and the orange together, it all sort of started to make sense. I've really tried to curate a space where if I fall in love with something like out in the world, no matter what color it is, it can kind of fit into this more eclectic style. It started with the green and orange, and then I sort of just said, all right, let's go, and anything is welcome in this space. The living room is really where I went crazy with the design. I really wanted it to be this big statement. So obviously the shower in many ways is the centerpiece of this place. It's what everybody has the most questions about. It's the reason I almost didn't move into this space, because I was like, showering in your kitchen is insane, and I've actually grown quite fond of it, I will say. I think I've made it into something that is visually interesting. The shower curtain, both the linen exterior and also the liner, are both from Quiet Town Home, which is one of my favorite brands. The medicine cabinet in there, which is very functional as well. I use it practically. I have a ton of storage in there, and then the mirror swings out. It's a great place to shave and do your hair. I started with this chair that I got for my old bedroom, and I got that off of All Modern. So I bought that new. The couch actually came from All Modern as well. I was working with a very specific parameter. I had to find something that was 60 inches, which is not easy to do. So this particular sofa was a godsend. The exact shade of orange that I needed to. That was super important to me as well. For the most part, everything else is found. The record stand I found outside of my old building. Someone had thrown it away and we used it as a side table there, and it was sort of just like tucked behind the sofa, but I'm happy in this space I really get to feature it because I think it's so cool. So there's an interesting thing about this trunk. I found it on 9th Avenue. Someone had put it out on the curb, but it is locked. There's something inside of it. I don't know what it is. And the longer I've gone with it being in the corner of my living room, the more freaked out I am by the concept that like it's something scary. I don't know if I'll ever know what's inside of it. I kind of have plans down the line. I sort of want to cut the side of it out and build a bar into it. So maybe one day I'll find out what's inside, but I try not to think of that too much because it's a little spooky. So if anybody has any ideas what they think is in the trunk, if you're right, I don't know, maybe I'll give it to you. I almost didn't bring this thing into my apartment because I was like, what if it's just like bad juju? There's no negative vibes in here. I will say for a building this old and like with this much history, it's good energy only. And that includes the spooky ghost trunk. The lamp is from West Elm and the melty disco ball was sent to me by a friend on TikTok. After I got the green on the cabinets, I still had some leftover green paint. So I decided to do a half wall. I had hung this circular mirror between my windows and I didn't really want to paint the whole wall. I was like, oh, it might be cool to sort of bisect that mirror. Then when it came time to find a solution to cover both my closet and my shower, I carried it over onto that section of the apartment as well. I landed on getting some roller shades and I custom painted them. So I treated the paint with an acrylic medium, which allowed me to heat set it so that the paint won't crack. You won't really see the wear from it rolling up and down. It sort of turns it into a fabric paint. And then I wanted something a little bit extra on the one that covered the shower. So I just sort of like free-handed this amorphous blob. Somebody told me it looks like an egg yolk and I kind of can't unsee that now. I think it became exactly what it's supposed to be. The coffee table / ottoman, and I found it on like an offshoot of Ruggable that no longer exists. I guess it doesn't matter what it's called because it doesn't exist anymore, but it is washable and it also turns into a little desk that you can put on your lap. This gallery wall was actually one of the first things I did in here. I had these signs from the public theater. It was my first job in New York to drive the actors from the edge of the park into the theater on a golf cart. I did that for like several summers, and at the end of the 2019 season, I asked operations if I could take the signs. That really became the staple piece for my gallery wall, and then I just sort of mixed in art prints and pictures of friends and family that make me feel good and sort of just made that all this centerpiece of this area. I kept it cohesive by keeping the frames pretty standard. I have a couple wooden ones in there that are painted green that actually were hanging in my kitchen as a kid that I stole from my mom's house, and then the rest of them I just went with like a very neutral brass. It's 2 sets of frames I just got off of Amazon for pretty cheap. I mean, this is where I spend most of my time. I sit here no matter what for an hour with my coffee every morning. It was very important for me to be surrounded by things that make me feel creative and make me feel inspired. I wanted this space to feel like I could sort of like bring anything into it. I actually think like inlaying the wallpaper into the cabinets was the first time I really embraced sort of being a little bit more playful and not taking the design in here so serious. When your bathtub is literally the centerpiece of the apartment, like you have to have a sense of humor about the way you design it, and you have to embrace not only creative solutions practically, but creative solutions design-wise. I got this idea to sort of pull in more color by doing a faux stained glass. I saw the creator on TikTok, so I replaced the curtains with some Roman shades, which just are a little bit more practical for this space. And I just basically painted my windows with this gallery glass paint, which is 100% runner friendly. I know that because I messed up a few times and I had to sort of peel it off. It's actually very therapeutic just to, paint on the windows. It literally felt like finger painting. I actually started using a fork to put it on to sort of get those lines in it and to make it actually look like glass, because that's what this creator on TikTok did. I would say most of my metal accents are brass in here. I try to create a space where, like, if I find something that's chrome, I can make it work in here too. I'm sort of becoming more and more comfortable with mixing metals with wood tones. I love, obviously, like 70s era sort of things and mid-century styles. That was always the jumping off point. When I saw those disco balls, I was like, oh, okay, like I guess we're going full tilt. So you first walk in and you step right into the kitchen area. That's the first thing you see. Aside from the cabinets, what I really wanted this space to be was like my one moment of neutrality in this space. It's like the most white and black space that you have. I have little pops of color here and there, but it sort of just separates the different zones of the apartment and is much more of a utility first section than most of the spaces. I would say the one like really life-saving thing is probably my least favorite piece of furniture that I have in this apartment, which is this set of drawers from the Container Store. I'm sort of insane in that I do cook pretty much every single meal in this tiny apartment. So I don't particularly like the way that it looks, but it is so functional. It keeps all of my pots and pans, like Ziploc bags, aluminum foil, all of my cooking utensils. This shelf here, like I had a million different ideas before I actually physically moved into the space and how I was going to utilize it, but it just isn't functional storage. I'd be open to hearing people's ideas, but you need that airflow to get to the bedroom. So I've used it completely decoratively. What I really like to do is every week I switch out the flowers and I really just take like about a half an hour to do these little flower arrangements as a way to kind of de-stress and feel like I'm being creative. I love that this particular space in this apartment is always in flux and always changing. In the bedroom, I wanted it to feel like it was stylistically the same as the living room, you know, in terms of colors, but I wanted it to feel darker. I wanted it to feel moodier and just a little bit more peaceful. I had that accent wall next to the bed, and I carried that same green that's everywhere else in the apartment up onto the ceiling and on all of the walls. It really just like at night feels so cozy and so comfortable. It makes a huge difference. This locker is probably the most important storage solution that I've found in this space. I got these lockers off of Amazon, actually. I got this little mirror that I put on there. I have a couple little magnetic shelves on the side where I keep my cologne and just some display things here. And I got this absolutely insane bust of David side table that's bright orange and is completely perfect for this space. I got that on Urban Outfitters. I have some beautiful dark orange sheets that I got from Pact, and then the outer bedding is all West Elm. I used to work at West Elm, so I had that 40% off, so there's a lot more West Elm than there would be otherwise. This bathroom is completely tiny. This was my least favorite part of the apartment for so long. It was just like a white room that was dingy and just had a toilet. So I really wanted to elevate it, and that was my first foray into color drenching. And I just got this like really beautiful black paint with like cool undertones in it. And I just put that on all of the walls, and I got these nice little art prints that sort of celebrate the neighborhood to hang in there as well. The light before, it was just like a string hanging down and just a bare bulb, and I switched it out for an Edison bulb to warm it up a little bit. I have a cabinet up there as well, and that's something that someone else who lived here before installed. And then the framed photos on the walls, there's a photo of a building just like this, but back in the day when it was, you know, a working class residence. It's a little eerie, but I think it's important to sort of celebrate the roots of a place like this. And there's also just a storefront of a bar in the neighborhood that was on 10th Avenue, I believe. And the sort of coolest thing in that little space is this art piece that I made that is Oni Madden, who was a gangster that was active in this neighborhood back in the 1920s. Obviously, Hell's Kitchen used to be really rough, and now it's like a very gay neighborhood. So I did sort of put him in drag. That is, I think, such a cool looking little space now. It's crazy to say this because this is a tiny little room with a toilet in it, but that is sort of like the crown jewel of the apartment in a way. A lot of people say in New York, you design your space to sort of escape the city and feel like the city is on the outside and then you have this peaceful place inside. I kind of took the opposite approach, and I brought all of that vibrancy into my space. I'd say first and foremost, I'm a creative. You know, I came to the city initially to be an actor. I still work in entertainment and I love what I do between reality TV producing and live entertainment producing, and that's all been very wonderful and very fulfilling. But I don't really get that hands-on creative process the way that, you know, I used to. And I actually think this apartment has become the place where I put that energy now. Anytime I need a project or I'm craving some sort of inspiration or I want to feel like I'm making something that's bigger than me, I put it into my home now. In apartments I've had before this, I've really tried to play by the rules. I think that this space has really allowed me to just sort of like lighten up. If it brings me joy, it belongs in here. It's more about how it makes you feel than about what boxes it checks in the rule book of interior design. There's a quote from As You Like It where Celia says, "I like this place and willingly could waste my time in it." And I feel that sitting here right now, surrounded by all of my things and all the work I've put into it. I love it in here, and I could willingly waste my time in it, and often do.